We are starting our Coffe Hour number 8. And today we have a sort of a unique, exciting presentation from Colorado Mesa. The director there, Georgianne Juflis, attended a lean launch training at Steve Blank's ranch. And she'll talk more about it. So today's agenda is we have the presentation from Colorado Mesa. And so I'm going to now turn this meeting over to Georgianne, and she's going to lead us through the lean launch model. And just to set the context, we realized that a lot of campus directors know the lean launch process and the methodology and probably use it. And she is sort of sharing with us how they use it at Colorado Mesa and how they engage this platform to talk to students and get them to understand entrepreneurship concepts. So, Georgianne, you have control of the meeting, so you can share your screen and take us through the process.
Okay, can everybody see the screen?
Not yet. You have to share. You have to share.
Oh, I have to share. Oh, dang it. All right, hang on. I can do that.
Share your desktop with us.
Okay.
Oh, we got in there.
Okay, cool.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Am I the right one?
This is Fresno State.
Oh, good morning. Okay, so Georgianne, yeah, there we go. That's it. Now we can everybody see the PowerPoint that Georgianne is showing on the screens?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks and welcome. I'm going to go over a little bit about the Lean Launchpad. And some of you, this might be review, but I'm trying to get all of us on the same page. So in November, I went to a training in Santa Clara with Jerry Ingalls. We went to Steve Blank's ranch, which was beautiful and strange at the same time, but it was wonderful. And we learned this methodology. So the premise of this methodology is that startup is different than an existing company. And I think we all believe that with entrepreneurship, you're trying to find a business model. You've got some assumptions. You don't have history, so that's why it's different. So these guys have put together a process for going through that. So the business model is what we're searching for. Then afterwards, you go through and write the business plan. So it doesn't circumvent the business plan whatsoever. So it's a search versus execution. Just a little background on how this all comes from. There's 3 key players. They all have support people that have helped them. But Steve Blank, entrepreneur, I think his last company he sold for $14 billion is what he told us at his ranch, and you could probably see some of that money being spent on the ranch with his Tesla parked out front. But his first book that he started with this, so he was an entrepreneur, venture capitalist, was teaching at Stanford. His class filled up a lot of MBA and engineering students. He came up with the 4 steps of the epiphany. That was his book. He's all about customer development, and we'll go about what that means in a little bit. He then, Eric Ries came to him and wanted him to invest in his company. He said, yes, he'd invest in the company if you took the Lean Launch class at Stanford. So he took the class, and Eric came up with the Agile development, which is used in software development, and he talked about iteration. Just you continually use information that you've gotten from customer development and keep changing the business model to the point where you have hypotheses in the business model. You go out and test if those are right, and then you can change. So it's that minimal viable product. You get something out there, you ask questions. And then Osterwalder came up with the business model canvas that we saw in the last session, and it's just a way of categorizing the 9 building blocks of the business model. And so in this whole process, what you're doing is combining all of these. So you're looking for the search, this section of customer discovery, and you validate that the customer really believes what you believe, that hypothesis. And so that's what the class is all about, is just asking people questions, coming up with your theory and asking people questions. Then you come up with a prototype, a wireframe, something to be able to show people what it is. You could even code a little bit, but not a lot. You just want that minimal viable product, and you just keep asking people questions. That's the lean startup process. So you hear about, you pivot, you hear about business model canvas. So this is putting them all together. It's just the search for what would work as a business model. And it's cutting out a bunch of time and a bunch of expense. So you don't want to burn through all your startup capital. So it's an experiential class. So what I'm talking about specifically today is the class and how the class works. And they have a specific way they want you to run it, but they give you all the tools to be able to do it. So it's an experiential class that teaches the search. It's just another level of entrepreneurship education. And at CMU, we've added that as a junior level course, interdisciplinary, before you write the business plan. So it's really worked out well. In fact, yesterday we had our elevator pitch competition, and two of the top teams, actually the two winning teams, were out of this class, and they were a combination of engineers, business students, computer science students. We had a kinesiology student in one of them. So it's a great class to get people to use their personal skills, come together on a team, and make something great happen. So it's experiential, interdisciplinary. It gets students out of the classroom, or it should. I mean, I've been saying lately, I think they lie about doing that a lot. But the great part about it, and I don't know if you have that problem, but I think students have trouble talking to adults. So this makes them get out there, even though most of them are adults, but bridging that gap to the real world. It makes them get out there and ask people questions about hypotheses. Is there questions or no? Okay. The other big part of this, it is a flipped classroom. So most of you are familiar with that, but what a flipped classroom is, most of the lecture material is online, and most of that is provided by Steve Blank for free. So, and he really hits the key topics. But I have it on our learning platform. We use D2L, but I have all the lectures on that platform. The kids go to that. They watch it before the class. They come to class with questions, but the class is mostly them going over what they've learned, and we ask questions. They each have to ask each other questions, and we get some lively discussions. It's been a really good class. So it's immediate feedback on their presentation and what's happening. The whole point of it is that they're learning and pivoting, making these hypotheses, learning and pivoting. And so 16 weeks, you have 9 weeks to go through each section of the business plan. The first part of it, or the business model, excuse me, the first couple of weeks we talk about creativity, innovation, different approaches for that. We use some of the Drucker information on how to come up with an idea, and then we do a lot of brainstorming, and they get out there and kind of test their ideas. So how the whole thing works is business model. I come up with an idea. So in the third week, they have to settle on an idea. They put together the business model canvas for that. Then they go out and try to validate that the customers exist for that, and they come back and present what they learned. And then they go back and validate that there's really value to those customers. So every week they go back and ask that. So they design the canvas, they iterate, they pivot, and then they figure out how to scale this whole thing. They get out of the building and they talk to people. This is what the class looks like. Every week has this same format, and this is right out of the training manual that they give you. And I've given you the link to get this whole training manual for free. So they should talk to 10 to 15 people outside of the building, outside just people that are in the industries. They find out what the information is, and I can't see the board, so I have to get to my slides. Okay, so they have a running business model canvas, and so every week they update that. We've been using Canvanizer, which has been a good tool, but I found BM Fiddle, which is a better tool for this type of thing, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So they update their canvas, they prepare a presentation that has a specific format every week. They have to have a title slide that tells me how many customers they've talked to, tells me how big their market is. So I know the title slide, I know everything about that company. Then they show me the business model, and they show me how they pivoted. So every week that business model changes a little bit. So this is what they prepare outside of the classroom, and then they watch the lectures, and they're all on Udacity. I'm giving you the link to those lectures. Really easy to pull them in to a learning platform, and they can just watch those. They're short lectures, but they're really powerful and to the point. So in between that, they can come talk to me as a faculty member. They can have mentors. A lot of them, like I have engineers in my class, they go and talk to my engineering fellows a lot, I hope. They say they do. I hope they do. I can put them in touch with people in the community that can help them with that. The class is supposed to be run with mentors in the classroom. I haven't done that yet. I'm kind of implementing it time after time because I've had a very small class. So next semester, hopefully I'll have maybe 15 in the class to 20, and so I'll be able to get people to come in and sit and listen to the lectures. That's the hope, but I'm implementing it gradually. So they have questions. After they watch the lecture, they have questions. When they come to class, the class is really targeted about what we do. We have questions and answers about their discovery, what they learned that week. They each do a presentation. So once a week, every team is doing a presentation. They have specific slides that they have to have in that presentation for each part of the business model campus, whatever they're looking at that week, and they present that information. And it's kind of a ruthless class. If you know Jerry Engel or Steve Blank, they're very funny because they tell you, I will be ruthless. So I start the class saying, I'm sorry if you think I'm rude, but I will call you on your BS. And they do that. Even in the training class, they've been known to just, if somebody, the class I was at, somebody asked a question, they basically said, that's not appropriate, or it's stupid. They didn't say stupid, but they were kind of saying that. But you get them to be really targeted in their presentations. And so far, this class has been amazing in doing that. And then you give a mini lecture about what's happening next week. So you prepare them for the topic, and all of this is in the manual that you can download for free of how you do this procedure and what they need to know. And then the next week they go out, they talk to 10 more customers, and the process of this class is they have to see the whites of their eyes, meaning they can't just make a phone call. They have to either Skype, and sometimes, depending on what industry they're in, they're going to have to put a little effort into this to be able to find 10 to 15 people every week to be able to talk to about a specific type of question. So the basic pattern is they come up with a hypothesis. Here's what we think about our customers, or here's what we think about our channels. Here's what we did. They go out, they talk to 10 to 15 customers, they ask them about this. Here's what we found out. So an example in my class, the second place in our elevator pitch challenge, this group, they like to work out, and they said, we're going to figure out something. When I go to the gym, there's always a machine that something's using, and then that person leaves to go get a drink, and I try to get on the machine, and we didn't know it was using, and so it starts a lot of conflict on that. So so they went out and talked to people at the gym and talked to gym managers, and they said, you know, we really don't need that. That's not really a problem. We kind of do that. But what we need is, you know, there's times when we're really busy and times when we're not. So these kids went out and they looked at cameras, they looked at infrared sensors, and they came out with a product where there's sensors in the gym, and it downloads to an app. So when you're ready to go work out, you can look at the app and see, oh, the gym's really busy now. And then it downloads history, but on Tuesdays at 11, it's not busy. So I can arrange my day so I can get there when I don't have to wait to work out. So they've developed this product, they pivoted just by asking these questions. And then, then they tell you in the slides what they're going to do next. We found out this information, we changed our business model, now here's what we're going to do. So every week it's an iteration of the business model till they come up with one that has all the information, validated information about their hypothesis. That's the key, because when you teach entrepreneurship, and I know that's really hard for a lot of my students, even business students, is, am I making up this information? And yeah, at first you are making it up, and then you go validate it with research, whether it's book research, the size of the market, or whether it's just talking to people. And that's a really hard thing for my students to figure out, that that's okay to talk to people, and that's okay, that's a good way to do research and validate assumptions. So it really emphasizes that skill of being able to talk to people and ask questions. So my way of testing it, because this is a really hard way of getting an activity for you all to do. So what I did, everything that we all have in common was the Faculty's Fellows Program. So I'm in no way judging or complaining or doing anything. I just wanted to do a little bit of customer discovery on the Faculty Fellows Program, something that we do. So our customers, what I assumed on this is our fellows, so it's the program manager for this. This is my business model canvas for the Faculty Fellows Program. What do we do, how we deliver this, which is the channels, what our value is, and those values are straight from the Coleman Foundation website on what they want to implement. Is that true?
The impact plan.
The impact plan. So I took those off of there. Some of the partners are people that help me deliver this, some of the activities that we do, and you can't see them all here, but, and then, so I just went through this. The next part, and I don't know if everybody's been using, but Osterweiler now has come up with the value proposition canvas, so it kind of targets in on that section between value proposition and customer segment. So it's just a tool that you can look at more closely to make sure you have that product market fit.
Customer pains.
Customer pains, customer gains. So you're asking your customer, what we do, is it really helping you? So yesterday, we went through the value proposition canvas in a meeting that we had with Clark, and we just, with our fellows, asked, are we really helping you reach our goals? And I'm going to see if my link works. If it doesn't, actually, let's see. It may or may not work this time. No. Okay. If not, hang on 1 second.
There you go.
There we go. So we came through with the jobs that our fellows have to put together. Just basically on our campus, we have it separated between teaching, research, service, and advising. Teaching, we're 60% teaching. So these are the things that our fellows have to do. And what are the gains that they see from this program? What are the pains? And we kind of went through and got some really good feedback. And actually, maybe Clark can talk to what did he learn from the discussion we had asking these pointed questions of the fellows. Do you want to say anything?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I guess I want to kind of talk about this from the framework of the model. Because we're obviously using this, I mean, I don't know what Steve Blank would think about the way in which we're applying it.
Yes, he'd probably get mad, but we don't care.
But you can kind of see that the model, you know, is something that forces you to ask key questions. You know, it's forcing you to explore certain areas. And so when we had our conversation, you know, it was an opportunity for us to reveal, you know, even in the gains and pains conversation, kind of what are the things about the fellows program or your lives as a fellow that you know, are opportunities for us, you know, as a program to try to address and solve, or that are leverage points that we can, you know, take from the program to build forward. So similarly, as you're working with students, this model highlights those types of things. So it enables you to have the more kind of pointed conversation, and the student can help to see that in a frame. Now, you know, for folks that are visual learners, I think this is a great methodology. And so there's going to be a certain, you know, segment of your students that it probably resonates with more than others, but it does force those conversations. So with this example, you kind of see that the types of things that emerged as we had our conversation with Georgianne and her team yesterday.
Great. We have a question or a comment from Diane.
Wonderful.
Hi, everybody. I'm calling from Vienna, Austria. I'm my Fulbright. I'm really glad you presented this, Georgianne, because I've been very interested in it for a long time. And I saw it presented at GCEC, the Global Consortium Entrepreneurship Centers, and I've heard other people talk, and they say it's very much geared towards technology businesses that have to move really quick into the marketplace. Most of my student businesses here are more Main Street businesses, and I just wanted to get some feedback on, have your students used it for that, and how did it work? If you did, or do you see it more towards technology businesses?
I see it for all. I mean, to me, it's naturally what I do as an entrepreneur all the time. I think most people do. My sister-in-law teases me that my whole family are just data gatherers. We just ask questions all the time. And so it's innate in me, but I finally come to realize it's not in a lot of people. So I was a restaurant owner, and I had a food manufacturing business. So both of those, if I would have taken the time to sit and talk to my customers, I did, and saying, do you value this? I'm putting a lot of money in, I used to have music at my bar. Is that important to you? Do you come here for that? And so, yeah, I think it really worked. And in my entrepreneurship class, which is the business planning class, I make them spend about 2 weeks and do this little lean startup test, and they have to go out, have a hypothesis about their type of business, and it's all over the gamut. I mean, you teach that type of class. They're weird businesses, they're Main Street businesses, they're technology businesses, and they have to do at least one hypothesis about one part of this and go out and talk to people. So I think it's really valuable no matter what. You have to adapt
Question
it a
or
little
comment?
bit.
Go ahead, Georgianne. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay. We have another comment or question from Jerry and then Diane.
One of the things in terms of sort of going between the traditional way we teach entrepreneurship and the lean startup way, what I found was probably the best bridge was done by Alex Bruton, and his website is theinnographer.com, THEINNOGRAPHER.com. And what he's done is basically he's added a really cute way to do the initial idea generation. The second step is a business model, the business model canvas. The third step is actually the business plan, and he shows the sorry, public place. So, but it literally gives you a really great way to integrate lean startup and feasibility analysis business plans in a pretty seamless way. And he actually includes a lot of exercises and some good explanations for how to do that. I found that was probably one of the best ways to sort of go between, sort of integrate lean startup and existing sorts of models.
There is a comment or a question from IT also.
Okay.
Go ahead. Is it Heather or Libby?
Oh, it's Libby. Hi.
Hi,
can
Libby.
you cut out a little bit when you were saying the link? Could you say the URL?
I'll post it. Libby, I'll post a link to the fellow site.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Diane, do you have? Go ahead. Go ahead, Georgianne.
Jerry just answered my question. I wanted to know how to integrate it with our traditional ways we teach, so perfect. Thank you.
And I'll post my syllabus for my entrepreneurship class that I put it in there, and it's worked out really well. They have to just do the lean launch, and then they reference it in their business plan. It makes their business plan much more valuable because they say according to my research instead of according to the people I asked, and it looks like they're really out there talking. But the Lean Launchpad class itself is a totally separate class as well. And all we do is go through and find the model. And we're trying to integrate it that it's a class they take before they do the business plan. So they've really researched their model. And so we're hoping that their business plans themselves will be richer just because they have a model before they get in there.
And I'm sure on the call there are several directors. I mean, I can relate to Frank at WPI. I mean, a lot of people use the lean launch methodology in different ways, and there is a sense that it is primarily geared for IT or tech-oriented companies. And if you are talking about an arts business or a Main Street, you know, ma and pa, small kind of businesses, there is this sort of this disconnect. And also, Georgianne, in your class, your group, what age group are we talking about in terms of student body?
They're undergraduate, they're juniors and seniors mostly.
Great.
And I get what you're saying about the Main Street, but I respectfully disagree. I think it's a really good tool no matter what, because it's great for students to get out and validate what they think about their business. Artists are not, even artists are good. They don't have to change what they're producing. They might have to change who their customers are. I mean, maybe they're selling to the wrong customers. That happens a lot with artists, I believe.
We have a question or a comment from Stetson. Gary, go ahead.
Gary's not here. This is actually Nathan Wallach. Gary's at a conference this week, but I just had a question for those of us that are looking to incorporate this into a class that's maybe not exclusively entrepreneurship focused, and we wanted to do like a lean launch unit. What's kind of the minimum time frame that we should allocate for, you know, iterating over seveal classes? Is it a 2-week thing, a 3-week thing, a 4-week thing?
16 weeks. No, I'm just joking. I do it in my entrepreneur. I think 2 weeks if they get out there and every day. So you have to build the business model canvas, and then I just make them validate like one thing. Usually I have the business model canvas in big canvases that they can do the sticky notes, and now I've made the value proposition canvas that I just showed you and that's up on the board right now. I made that a second one. So if they can just validate that there is value, that's probably the biggest step they can make. So that would be a great thing. So that just makes sure that they have the right customers for the right value or the right product. And that would be a great thing. And I have that. I have a little exercise that I've already developed that I will send to Joe so he can post it for me, because I can't seem to post anything. But I can give you that.
How many class periods?
It took... So I use it for 2 weeks, but I introduce it and then I give them time to get out there and talk about it, and then we bring it back and talk about it. So in any class you could do it. It's them getting out of the building and talking to people. So I introduce it, we go over the business model canvas, then I give them probably another week to get out of the building and talk to people, and then we bring it back up and what did you learn and how did you iterate? How did you change or pivot? What you thought about your business, your hypothesis. So I have an exercise in that. If you'd like it, I'll get it to you. That I just use it. It's a 2-week thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Nathan. Go ahead, Georgianne.
So these are the things we came up with. I think it's worthwhile for any of you to ask your fellows, are we hitting the right things? Is there things that we could do to help? One of the discussion things we came up with yesterday was politics, and I maybe we're the only higher education institution that has politics in departments and institution. We are.
Don't you wish?
But, but we talked about that. That's one of the hardest things to get this interdisciplinary thing happening. We all overcome that, and actually the fellows program has been awesome in terms of just building that network and that ability to just have our students in projects and our individual classes work together. So it's really worked well.
So if we were going to, like, to extend the metaphor here, if we were going to take the Lean Launchpad methodology on that, would we go out and have conversations with 10 to 15 people across campus about the dynamics around politics of expanding entrepreneurship education? That's essentially what the natural next step would be, to go outside the classroom and have these personal engagements.
Yeah, or you could talk to each one of the programs, and are they all filling that? Maybe we're the only ones that are filling that, and then come up with a way to alleviate that. I don't know if you can, but maybe there's a workaround. Maybe we talked about yesterday, maybe one of our seminars that we have at the summit is just how to work politics in the institution. You know, this really, the program can really help if you have buy-in from your department or buy-in from administration, and that comes at different levels at different institutions. So how do we work through that? So we've identified one of the pains, so how do we work through that?
Yeah, so the Canvas is the platform to get to the conversations to address an identified issue.
Yeah, so that's just one of the value propositions that we could come up with, that we can help you do that.
And in a way, we can think of this as a balanced scorecard, you know, so if there are pains and gains, therefore activities and then metrics to measure that, you know, we could tie it into some sort of a scorecard. And Georgianne, I know that, you know, and one of the nice things about the Fellows Program is not all of us have to agree on everything. We can disagree, and some things can work at Colorado Mesa better than other places, and that's the beauty of the program. But I do want to press you on the pivot, because when you have an artist who is passionate about doing something, okay, they are not going to pivot. They're going to struggle along, and they just don't want to give up on their passion, and they're convinced that that is the only thing that they are put on this earth to do. So how do you address that?
Okay, so I wouldn't have them pivot on what their product is, because that's their passion, that's what they want to do, but you might imply that they might look for a different customer, because, you know, maybe I don't like modern art, but Clark loves it. So a lot of times, and believe me, I work with a lot of artists, and I have friends that are artists, and I don't want them to change what they do, but maybe how they present it. So it's not just the product, it's the channels, or it's the customer segment. Maybe you're going for the wrong customer segment, or how you price it. So how to get it out there. Those are a lot of things that the business model canvas and the pivot, you don't just pivot on the value or the product itself, but you pivot on how you market it, who you market it to. You pivot on the relationship. You know, maybe you do it online. Well, that doesn't work. Maybe you do it at a farmer's market. You know, those customer relationships. Maybe you get different resources. Maybe you have different partners. So we go through each of the 9 things just as much as we go through the value. That's just the most obvious one, the product. But all the other channels are just as important. So I think it's really valuable for artists.
Great. There's a comment or a question from Diane.
No, I don't have anything else.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you raised your hand, Diane. Okay. Go ahead, Georgianne. Go to the next step.
Okay, let me go back to my PowerPoint. Sorry. Okay, so.
Current, there you go.
Okay, so it's all a big experiment, and even me teaching this class is kind of an experiment. So I have that nature, so I'm willing every semester to try something else. What's working in the class so far, so I've taught it for 2 semesters. It's encouraging multidisciplinary class. That's really been good for us. The breakthrough is Scott, one of our engineering fellows, was able to get it listed in the engineering program, and so engineers can take the class, and that's been awesome this semester, just to have that mix. I mean, the engineers were great. It's totally different than what they usually take, but I think it's very valuable for them. And like I said, 2 engineering teams won our elevator pitch. They did an awesome job yesterday. So that was a great thing.
Georgianne, if I can interrupt,
Yeah.
There is a question or a comment from Don Reamer at Lawrence Tech.
Yeah, my question is you speak of products quite a bit, and we've used products, but what about services and how you're using the value proposition design with services? That was my question, and how much experience have you had with that?
In my business planning class, we've used just that short little exercise for services, and it works well. In the Lean Launchpad class itself, this semester, I have a group that is designing overlays for stick golf courses with disc golf. I don't know, maybe that's unique to Colorado.
We have disc golf on our campus. I'm familiar with it.
Okay, so they're looking at stick golf is dropping drastically all over the U.S. And so we've got all this investment in golf courses. So they've got a service, they'll go to a golf course and overlay a stick golf course, so it's another income stream. And that's a service. And they've been able to do, you know, they ask the same, it's all asking the questions. Do you value this? What would you value, you know, what are your pains? What are your gains? How we can fix it? How do we advertise to somebody to get the businesses?
And my other part of the question is, are you having the students actually build prototypes?
Eventually, yes, they do.
Okay.
So in the Stanford and Berkeley class, yes, they have to have a working or a basic software, or we have 3D printers on campus so they can build something. It's really helped with the engineers in the class because they like to build things. Like by the second class, they came with a prototype. You know, my business majors don't really have that ability, but they're getting there. I mean, it's really great to see how that works. So, yeah, eventually it helps them questioning people doing their investigation if they have a prototype, because it's really easy for people to see. But we have some wireframe websites that they can just show how a software works, or like the service that are doing the golf course. They've got some pictures on how it would overlay on a golf course. They were able to use Google Earth and then overlay. So they have to get creative in this class, and there's so many tools out there that I'll just expose them to, but they have to figure out how to use it. I mean,
are you using the site Strategizer at all to pull down your information? Strategizer.com, are you using that?
Yeah, I do, and I get a lot of information off that, but then they want you to pay for things. Canvanizer I've used for the business model canvas, but what you just saw there is one that I found preparing this this presentation, BM Fiddle, and it's awesome. It's,
BM Fiddle? Okay,
BM Fiddle.
thank you.
It's on my links page, and you can do business model canvas, value proposition canvases, and then you can take a snapshot and add to them. So you have the original one, and so you can layer them, and you can see where your pivots are. It's a great way to keep track of this, and it's
question or comment from Jerry and then DePaul, SLU and DePaul.
Hi, this is Ravindra from SLU. Just wanted to know, how do you assess the success of the class in terms of, you know, assessment?
How do the success of the class?
Assessment.
Assessment. So
Assessment of the class.
Okay, so
How do you know the model is working in your class, Georgian? That's all.
I don't know really what you're asking. So every week they have to make a presentation. So I assess the presentation just for presentation skills. Then they have to go on and comment. So they comment in class, but I make them get online in a discussion group and put some meaty comments for each other's presentations, just suggestions. So they're kind of each other's board of directors. So I assess on that. And then the final, they have to do a video, a 2-minute video of what they learned over the class or how their business model changed over the class. And I was going to have one to show, but they're not quite done with them. So I was trying to force it, but it got kind of out of hand. So they won't have that. But once they get them done at the end of the semester, I'll post them to the site so you can see. But if you go to the Steve Blank, I gave you the link to Steve Blank. He has some of the final presentations that all his classes have done, and they're really cool to see how people have learned from this process. I hope. Yeah,
and Jerry Engels has put together a assessment tool that I can share with the community too. So we have so now DePaul, comment or a question?
Yes, Georgianne, it's Harold Welch. My question is, with respect to the background of the students in the class, it sounds like it's a mixture of different backgrounds and experiences. Do you have any minimum requirements for their participation, or do you take any and all comers that are coming into the class? And,
I take everybody at this point. I know on Stanford and Berkeley, they make you apply. You have to have your team built before and apply to get into the class. But at this point, I've taken anybody that wants to get in, and it really has worked out. I mean, even the people that weren't that bought into the class, by the end of the class, they get the methodology, they like working in groups, and they all kind of come up to the level we need to be.
Okay, so some students don't have accounting courses or marketing courses, in their background. Is that true?
No, that is totally true, because there's, in this class, it's mostly it's probably a balance, engineers and business students. So the business students, you know, I do a lot of these interdisciplinary classes, and they're great because all of a sudden the mass comm students will have respect for business students' ability to use Excel, and business students will have respect for mass comm ability to do graphics, and engineering's ability to like come up with a prototype and really figure it out. So it's been a great mix. It's kind of like real life. Not everybody knows accounting.
Do you assign them in teams, or do they form their own?
I let them form their own team. And actually, halfway through the class, I had to pivot on teams because they looked at it and said, we need him on our team, and she can go to that team. And they pivoted, and I had no problem with it. They actually sat me down. They were having beers, and I happened to walk up on my engineering, and they're like, sit right here. We have to talk to you because we need him on our team. And I'm like, fine, change it. It was halfway through the class, and it worked out great.
Okay, we have a question or a comment from Elon.
Yes, this is Kevin O'Mara from Elon. This sounds like an entire course, obviously. One of the things we'd like to think about doing, we're kind of on the early stages of getting this across campus. So it might be easier just to get kind of a module inside a class or something, so they get exposure before they start seeing how it works and the benefits, and maybe get courses throughout the campus just devoted to this. What's the shortest amount of time a faculty member would have to dedicate to get the concept across?
I have a 2-week module that I can share. It goes through the business plan and then kind of makes them get out of the classroom and interview people and then come back and share what they've made. So I can share that with you guys.
And Kevin, at minimum, you can tell students to go and talk to 20 potential customers, and they cannot be your family, friends, Facebook people that you already know. You need to find strangers that, you know, that's kind of how I ask my students to engage in this process. They have to demonstrate that they talk to at least 10 independent strangers in their network, or find a network that they will go talk to, and then so that I think Georgiana has tested this out, and it's a great contribution. So we can post that.
Okay. So what's working is it's exposed a lot of people that don't get the whole concept of searching for a business model. So a lot of my engineers, a lot of the just the different disciplines, it's a great class for doing that. As a module, it gets students to ask questions. That's been really awesome. I love the process, so I think it's really been helpful. Things that I've had to overcome is the academics of the class. Like we've talked with our engineers, and there's some people in their department that don't think it's academic enough. But from my point of view, my engineers in my class are awesome at presenting. They're awesome at looking through that. I mean, they won the business plan competition, but after I pulled a lot of numbers out of their presentation, because they were like telling everybody the whole physics of it all, and that nobody really wants to hear that. And they learned how to present a great idea without overwhelming people. So they were really great on that. So getting that buy-in from other disciplines is really important, because it's that interdisciplinary part of it that works. The one part that I've had trouble with this, there are a lot of resources to implement this, and I've given you links to all of them. This is National Science Foundation. Jerry Ingalls and Steve Blank developed this for them, so everything's free on the internet of everything to do this class. I mean, the syllabus, the lectures, everything you want is free, but there's a lot of stuff, so you have to pare it down, and that's taking me like 2 semesters to figure out how much of it I want to use, because it's just a lot of information. And they teach it at an MBA level, so to kind of not dummy it down, but just weed some of the things out so you can get the essence has been kind of hard. The biggest problem is getting students comfortable asking so-called adults for information, because that's just not their network. We tell them to network, but their network are other students or faculty, so to get them out and talk to people is hard, but that's probably the best lesson they could learn in college. And then the other part is getting adults to talk to them. I get so upset when they'll call somebody and ask for an interview and the person will just blow them off, but I'll call that same person and say, would you talk to my students? Oh, sure, we'd love to. So it's kind of training the community, too, that be nice to each other. So that's kind of the big things I've had. I have the resources that they have. This book by Steve Blank, The Startup Owner's Manual, is great. It's huge. This is kind of the dummies edition of it. I don't even make my students buy books because I don't believe they actually read books, even if they buy them. So I'd rather have them have the money to spend on startup things or building a prototype. So if they kind of say, well, we don't have the money to buy the prototype, I say, well, you didn't buy a book. I have all these resources. I have multiple copies in my office they can use if they need to. I kind of summarize the chapters, and that's what I use. Business model generation, there's a ton of stuff on site for that. Now, if you go over to the free side, and these links are all on a page that I think Joe sent you, Steve Blank's website has a bajillion things on there, and it's kind of overwhelming, but it has everything you need to run this class. Udacity, I don't know if you're familiar with Udacity, but it's free online course, or it's not all free, but they're online courses. But How to Build a Startup is Steve Blank's course, and it's every module of this class. They have little lectures, and you don't have to use them all, but I just sign into that, drag those lectures over into my learning platform, into D2L, and they just get on there and they can watch the lectures. And they're, 3 to 5 minutes, most of them. Some of them go up to 8 minutes, but they really target what you need to know. And then the manual for this class is available online, and I've given you the link. It's through VentureWell, which is, I think, the National Science Foundation, or it's some teaching engineers at some fancy place. But anyway, they're the one that sponsor this. It's NSF-sponsored curriculum, so it's all free on there. And this is exactly what we went through when we went to the training, and the training's pretty pricey, but you can get everything you need out of this manual. So the PDF of that is online, and the links Joe has sent you.
And Georgianne, can you go back to the other slide, the previous?
Yes.
The business model generation, that's a PDF that you can download for free, isn't it? I have a copy of that.
Some of the chapters, yes.
But the entire book is like 150 pages.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I haven't seen that, but probably.
Okay.
I mean, this is just Osterweiler's PhD thesis, and he put it into a book, which he's brilliant that way, has made a lot of money on it and has seminars. The other one I don't have up here is that BM Fiddle, but I have it in the links page, and I really have enjoyed using that because it really captures the business model canvas graphically and does a great job. It's easier to use than and share than Canvanizer, which is another one I've been using.
Now, the Canvanizer used to be free, but not anymore.
Yeah, so BM Fiddle is, not BMC Fiddle, because that's another site, but BM Fiddle is a great site.
And the nice thing, having students use that is they can create iterations of various tests, if you would, or, exploration ideas. And then they could put it all together in a nice presentation format for students. So, great. Go ahead, Georgianne. Are there any other? I still have I still have a couple of hands up. Are there any more questions from DePaul or Elon, or you're just thinking about asking questions? Okay, I guess not. So, go ahead, Georgianne.
That's all I've got. So if my contact information is here, or you have it on the website. So if anybody has questions, because it's a great class. It's kind of overwhelming to put together because there's so much free information out there to be able to do it. So you just got to you got to be willing to play with it a while and see what works. But I think everybody in this program has that mentality, so we're good. So I have to give you back control, don't I?
I'm thinking, yeah. Did you want to share the website or no?
Share what?
The BM Fiddle website?
The BM Fiddle website is right here. This is it right here. So this is the value proposition website. I mean, I have Oh, I think it might have logged me out. Let's see. So I have different websites for different projects I'm working on, but this one's the one for the value for the Coleman that I just went through. But if you want to put something in, you just add it like this. I can't see my typing, so then I go back. Let's see, I can go through each one of these, and it's all there. I go to home, I think there it is. So it's a really nice tool, but like Canvanizer won't let you add iterations. This one you can take a snapshot of it and then add to it so you can go through the iterations of it.
Perfect. Are there any other comments or questions about the lean launch methodology and anything for Georgianne? I guess not. So, oh, there is somebody. Okay. Go ahead. I think DePaul. Is there a question from DePaul or a comment?
Just wanted to give Georgianne a big thank you for releasing all of this information to us. I think it's super valuable for us to move ahead with these resources, and it's a big step in acquiring good information for us to strategize ahead.
Thanks.
Great, and Georgianne, I like the idea of having a module approach to this because it's great if you have a whole course to use this methodology, but if we can share your experience in creating a module around this, that will be very useful for the community.
Okay, I'll get that to you today.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any other comments about the Lean launch? There are a lot of directors I know that use that. If you have information or lesson plans that you have put into your courses that says, here's another way to look at it, and this is how we use it at TCU or WPI or Webster, whatever campus that has this experience, it'll be great if we can share that information with the community. So Georgianne, you did a great job. Thank you again for all your work. If there are any other comments or questions, we will end 3 minutes early today. And it's been a pleasure to have all of you, and we will see all the directors back on the coffee hour on May 22nd at 10 a.m. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.